Okay, we'd like to introduce Boba Fett, and here he is, a new character. Can you speak to us, Boba?
Certainly.
Boba has sort of a radio voice. There's a speaker built into him here, and also there's a certain amount of telemetry going on, and a certain amount of feedback for some reason. And why don't you turn it around and we can take a look.
And welcome back to Neon Fastic. Now on this week's episode, A Slave to Boba Fett Part 1. Yes, the first episode of a small series where we take a look at some of the vintage Boba Fett vehicles, model kits and action figures that were available in the early 1980s. Some you'll know and some you've probably forgotten all about. So to kickstart this series, we're going to take a look at Slave 1 and unbox an original vehicle from 1980. So let's get started. Okay, so here we go. So here we have a vintage Boba Fett Slave 1 model kit from 1982 by MPC. Now the kit itself is 185 scale, comes complete with a frozen Han Solo in Carbonite and the additional Boba Fett figure to place in the cockpit once you've finished. Now this is still a sealed example, and as you can see there's additional artwork along the bottom showing the model once it's completed and ideas for a paint scheme. Now I did build one of these in the early 80s as a child, and it's a fantastic kit, really well detailed. Now obviously paint and glue sold separately, but I think you'll agree the artwork on this box perfectly captures the scene from The Empire Strikes Back when Boba Fett blasts his way out of Bespin with a captured Han Solo on board. Perfect, and a rather odd choice, I think you'll agree, to show Slave 1, but this is the depiction that we all remember from the film. Perfect. Now I've tried all avenues to find out who the artist is who is responsible for this piece of artwork, and I cannot find it anywhere. So if anybody does know, please leave a comment below. I'd love to find out who it was. But this, I think I remember framing this once I'd finished the model kit and I had it up on my bedroom wall. Fantastic. Now a year later in 1983, this particular kit was re-released again through Airfix. So this is Airfix Interpretation. Now, as you can see, apart from the logo, exactly the same. But this kit has been released a few times, I think back in 1995 and 2005, but they've never used this box art again. So this is the only time in 82 and 83 that you see the Slave 1 model kit offered like this. And if I remember rightly, the commemorative editions that were released in the mid to late 1990s, you know, because they re-released the Snowspeeder, Darth Vader, the Millennium Falcon, X-Wing, etc. This was the only one that never received a re-release, which is an absolute crime. But let's move on and have a look at the vintage Boba Fett action figure vehicle by Kenneth. And here it is, Boba Fett's very own action figure vehicle as released through Kenner Toys back in 1980. Now, as with most other vehicles, action figures were sold separately, but for this particular piece, a frozen Han Solo in Carbonite was included, which back in 1980 was amazing. But I absolutely love this. I love the vehicle itself. Now, our first, here in the UK that is, our first introduction to Boba Fett was the Empire Strikes Back movie. But I know, especially in places like the United States, their first introduction to Boba Fett, the character, was through the Star Wars Holiday Special, but we didn't get that here, so the movie is our first introduction, and I've been a fan ever since. Now, the vehicle itself has been re-released a few times for the Shadows of the Empire line in 1996, and then again with the Power of the Force, so it's basically the same vehicle, just with a new paint job, but it has since seen light again through the Star Wars Vintage Collection. But this is where it all started. This is the original Boba Fett action figure vehicle. So let's take a look at the vehicle itself. And here it is, fresh out of the box. Now this is how you would expect to find it, either on Christmas morning or the morning of your birthday. But before we look at the vehicle, we'll just take a look at some of the added extras that were included inside. So first off, this is the Han Solo in Carbonite that came with the vehicle. Now I think you'll agree some of the detail there is really cool, and you've also got some added recess for stickers to make this piece come alive. Now there is only really one drawback with this, and that is scale. So if we just use an original Stormtrooper, and I think you can see the difference there, that the Carbonite block itself is slightly smaller, which is a bit of a shame, as it was 3 to 4 years later before we actually got a Han Solo and Carbonite action figure, but this complements the piece perfectly. Now, as you would also expect, comes complete with its own sticker sheet. There you go. So you can dress your vehicle, gives it that bit extra life. And with your sticker sheet, also some instructions in which to apply the stickers and also additional functions of the vehicle. And also, it's the gift that keeps on giving. It also came complete, as did most vehicles, with a free poster or mini catalogue. So this is the Palitoy poster. Now, as you can see, showcases the 12-inch Boba Fett action figure, which we'll take a look at in a later episode. But also, interest of note is some of the smaller scale die-cast metal vehicles. So there is Boba Fett Slave One again. And like I stated earlier, model kits available in the line. So we have the Millennium Falcon, Snowspeeder and Star Destroyer. But the most important part of being a child collector for Star Wars is this: your very own personal bounty hunter capture log. So if we'll just turn it over to the reverse. So how to become a bounty hunter. You can become a bounty hunter just like Boba Fett. Track down your favourite Star Wars characters, cut out the names from the packaging, see illustration above, and stick them onto your special capture log. When you have enough names for your reward, fill in the coupon below and return it in a sealed envelope to Palitoy, Leicester, UK. Put your name, address, age, obviously. So, as it stated, to receive a free Dengar action figure, you collect 3 action figure names simply by cutting up the card, included 14p to cover postage, or if you wanted to go for the survival kit, collect 4 names and add 30p to cover postage and packaging. But if you wanted that extra special Darth Vader collector action figure case, collect 6 names and include £8 postage and packaging. Simply attach the names that you've cut out here and send it on to the address on the reverse. Now this is what made collecting Star Wars toys in its prime exciting. Things like this. Now you could also mail away for additional action figures through coupons, adverts in the Star Wars weekly comics, etc. So you can mail away for an action figure or a mini rig vehicle sometimes. But this is just fantastic, and it's unfortunate that they don't do things like this anymore. But this was so important to us as children. But let's take a look at the vehicle itself. Right, so to gain access to your vehicle, you simply remove this panel here, insert your figure into the chair there via a clip, use this lever and simply just pull it up and you're ready for battle. Now this also moves forward, so you can place the frozen Han Solo Carbonite inside. We have full rotation on forward cannons, and also we have full motion on the wings itself, controlled by an additional trigger mechanism just contained here. But as you can see, there is a fair amount of detail on this vehicle, and is still really impressive. Now you can see that along the top there maybe that some of the glue, the original glue, has gone slightly yellow, which is unfortunate, but this is one of the hardest vehicles to find complete. And I say hardest if you're expecting to find one for or relatively inexpensive, because there are always 2 pieces missing. So this is one piece that's always missing, and obviously the addition of the floor bridge there. But I think you'll agree this is a fantastic vehicle and has been on many adventures in my collections over the years. But perfect. And there you go, you can clearly see the vehicle inside. Now another piece that's always tends to be missing or broken is the cockpit canopy glass. That's something you need to look out for. But other than that, there's absolutely not much more you could say about it really. Now it is a vehicle that, as I say, has been re-released, and especially with the prequels. So we had a re-release of Slave One, slightly modified for Jango Fett's vehicle as seen in the movie, And there was a re-release for the Force Awakens toy line, where they re-released Slave 1 again, but vastly reduced scale to an almost ridiculous scale, if I'm honest, because of, in comparison to the action figure that came with it. But as I say, this is the original. Still stands the test of time, still looks great, and is a worthy piece in any vintage Star Wars collection. Anyway, so there you go. So that was a quick look at the Slave 1, vintage Slave 1s. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. Obviously, I'll follow up with a Slave to Boba Fett Part 2 very soon. But as always, thank you to everyone who subscribed to the channel. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. But thank you very much for your time for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Oh, I got a live one here.